So we're back at it again with yet another Rolls-Royce video because there's just been a bunch of PR. We're gonna go over everything. So I'm gonna first talk about the less important things and then go on to the more important ones towards the end of the video. So one of the things that could be helping the stock is that it is quite involved in the defense sector. Tensions in the world would kind of benefit and also harm the stock because they would benefit the defense side of the stock, but they would also harm the travel side of the stock. But I think the defense side is more significant. So I think overall tensions in the world in terms of wars and things like that would probably benefit the stock. Not saying that's a good thing or that we're happy that there's a war gonna happen or a threat of any kind, but just speaking about the stock, it would probably help it. And then there's travel, which IATA has predicted a record-breaking 4.7 billion people will have traveled this year internationally. And of course, that's great news for Rolls-Royce leasing its engines to all these planes and commercial and private and whatever plane companies. But anyway, defense and travel is not really what we're here to talk about today. We're here mainly to talk about SMRs, which is of course small modular reactors. And there's been quite a bunch of PR about this since last video I made about Rolls-Royce. So Rolls-Royce are on track to move from step 2 to step 3 of the generic design assessment by the UK nuclear industry regulators, and the Nuclear Industry Association has applied for justification for the design of the SMRs. And the justification thing is a regulatory process that is needed to be done so that the government can approve any ionizing radiation being used. And this is actually the first ever application for a UK design, and the government has confirmed that this application has been accepted for consideration. And this news about the justification is only from the 19th of July, so it's very recent. And then there's also news from like more than a month ago, which you might already know, but there's a major energy company in Sweden called Vattenfall. They, if I'm not mistaken, are using or have agreed to use Rolls-Royce's SMRs in Sweden, and Vattenfall is at the forefront of Sweden's pledge to become fossil fuel free by 2045. So you can see that Sweden seems to be accepting the nuclear energy approach to become fossil fuel free and move towards renewable energy.
How dare you!
So I'm hoping that having a Labour government in the UK, which would usually be more environmentally focused than a Conservative government, hopefully they would accept nuclear energy and encourage it and things like that. I mean, solar and wind energy is just not as reliable or as efficient. And each and every one of these small modular reactors should be able to power around 1 million homes for 60 years. So just imagine how much energy will be saved and how much money will be saved when they're not going to have to depend on fossil fuels, which are, I believe, more expensive in the UK than in some other parts of the world, and will create thousands of long-term high-skilled jobs. And I'm also going to quote this from Rolls-Royce's website. So it says, last year Rolls-Royce SMR launched a supply chain portal to build new relationships with organizations that have products and services to offer and help them in becoming a Rolls-Royce SMR supplier. Over 700 suppliers have already registered, helping build a strong and resilient supply chain and underpinning Rolls-Royce SMR's social value commitment. So you can see that they do have a solid supply chain or a potential supply chain. So hopefully if there's any shortages anywhere, I would hope they would have themselves covered. And then the final thing that I want to end this video with is, of course, earnings are coming out in a week, 2 weeks, something like that, 1st of August. I mean, I'm not too worried about earnings. Some people are a bit shaky because there was a little dip in the share price. But if you look at the chart, I think it would be very healthy for it to have a little dip. It should have a dip. It's just worrying when it just keeps going up and up. And if there's any risk of any war happening, first of all, that shouldn't affect the coming earnings report because their earnings right now should be good because travel has been great, and I think they've been securing a lot of funding as well for their SMRs, but they've also been spending on it. So I haven't like looked too much into the numbers, but either way, I'm not in this stock just for like the next earnings report. I'm in this for seeing how the SMRs will turn out and if they will get approved and things like that. So the earnings report is not like very significant to me right now, although it could still have like a significant jump in price potentially, which is always nice to see. But until the SMR thing is more like out of the way, I'm not going to be satisfied. And for after the earnings report in the future, if there's any risk of like a war or something, that would probably reduce like travel, but it would probably increase the defense contracts and stuff, because when there is war, whether you like it or not, there is crazy money being thrown around when there is war. And wars do tend to break some people's fortunes and make some people's fortunes. And we'll end it with that. And of course, war is a very unfortunate thing. We pray for anyone who is suffering around the world. My last two videos, well, my last video got taken down, and the one before it I didn't post. I didn't make a video because I missed it. I was unwell or something, I don't even remember. I will end this video, and please make sure you like and subscribe and comment and share. I hope to see you next week. Bye bye.